Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, welcome to another amazing episode of the podcast titled Questions, where we pursue questions through faith in Christ. And of course, yet again, I have another fun filled, awe inspiring, educational, informative episode for you. Today's episode, it's actually going to be just a little bit personal, considering where I'm at the moment. You know, I think without saying the obvious, there's so many different denominations out there. I'm looking back at the beginning of the year, and I'm looking at myself now in terms of looking for church, looking for mission of statement, and all those things, and what they believe, and which church is right for me. It's always I find it always difficult because there's so many, and I think for me, if you were to ask me what is the right church, what's the right church for you? And what am I looking for? Perhaps maybe that's something that if you're looking for a church, that's probably something that you thinking about. Um, and maybe you have found a church, maybe you're a part of a church, and maybe you're happy in that church, and it has everything that you need. Like I feel as if I'm in a place where I'm really looking for a place where I can call home, a church. It's very difficult, and I was on the internet, for a while looking for a place where I could grow, because the truth is, as much as our walk with Christ, our relationship with God is personal, it's not private. God God thrives in community. God Himself is community. The Father, Son, and the Spirit. He is community, and outside of community, there is no. There's no. I don't think there's faith. I mean, the literal translation, the literal meaning for the word church is ecclesia, which literally means the gathered. Church is, it's not a building, it's not a place, it's not an institution, it's not a religion. It's a gathering of people. And I feel the need to surround myself with like-minded people. People that could also, encourage me. It's very difficult to find. With my journey so far, like it's so difficult because it's sometimes you walk in a church and all you are to, like, sometimes, like, my experience thus far, my experience in church, that I walk in church and people treat you like just like a number. You have those big mega churches where you're just a number, like you just part of the audience. You just a spectator. I'm not pretty fond of those massive churches. I like to be intimate with my community. Then you have those churches that treat you like a project. And that's been a bit of my experience thus far, where people treat you as a project. Where, like, you receive automated emails. It's not personal. It's how ministry works, where you treat people like projects. Oh, there's the new guy, Prince. And you get automated emails. It's not personal. You get a welcome card, and it just doesn't feel like there's a real connection, and it just feels like it's just church, an organization, an institution, or you go to church where, like, the the clergy, address themselves as the staff, people that work in the church, where it feels like an organization. I think that's what I've been facing a lot, where I feel like, I've like it's I'm not looking for an organization. I'm looking for an organic connection. I don't want to be treated like a project, or somebody who needs to be saved, or somebody who needs to be taught. I just want to be treated like a human being, like somebody who Christ loves. And I think through that's some of the blind spots that I've been seeing in a lot of these churches, is that it's a machine. It's a machine. It's a well-oiled machine, and that's the problem. It's a machine. it's not organic. And I've been feeling that. I don't know, like I've been feeling like I've been doing this thing called church, but I've not been a part of the church. I think one thing that has really, 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 really hit me very hard to my gut is, not being taken seriously in terms of, like ministry. I think, because I think having a background and coming from an extremely cult like conservative Christian background, in that you had to dress a certain way, you have to look a certain way to be taken seriously in ministry. I just think sometimes you walk into church and people look at you as if you need saving, or you probably demon possessed. People don't look at you as a human being. So I've been having this challenge of just actually asking myself, like, what is the church? Where is the church? And just what's going on? That's been my challenge. And I think for me, going back to the question that I threw at you, asking you, what makes a church? What do you look for in a church? I think for me, what I think I'm looking for right now is, you look at all. I've looked at probably close to hundreds of churches. Basically, all churches, all denominations have the basic mission statement. Basically, they believe in the Trinity, and like the basic stuff, like baptism, salvation, this, that, basics. Like they all have the same thing, but I feel as if a lot of the times I walked in these churches and, like, I don't know, but I felt empty. I think for me, what I'm looking for is, is just a passion for people. A passion for people, a love for people, a genuine love for people, not like treating people as projects, or like just a genuine love for people. Just genuine. I feel as if church has now become such a machine that the pastors and everybody just put on these smiles, and because it's part of that atmosphere, that church atmosphere that you walk into. And sometimes you can tell, it's just not authentic. And I don't know if that's hard to ask for, just authenticity. I think I'm looking for authenticity. I'm looking to be in a place where I don't feel as if I have to wear a mask. I'm looking to be in a place where I don't feel as if I can be authentic, my true self. And I don't have to put up this facade of neatness. Just come there and just come as I am, and just fellowship with people and be around people, and be around people who are passionate about God, the gospel, and people. Also, more importantly than that, honestly, like I want to be part of church that is involved in community, a church that's making a difference in society. Like me being South African, like I just cannot fathom how in the apartheid era, when black people were being discriminated against, how people, like how white folks just went to church every Sunday, and it was normal that black people were segregated. They were just thrown out on the outskirts of the suburban areas, and they were treated like basic animals. But these people just still went to church. Like I cannot fathom that. You had people that went to church in that era and worshipped this God that speaks of loving your neighbor, loving the least of these, the marginalized. I just cannot fathom how that was even possible, that the church didn't. And I'm pretty sure maybe some churches, tried to go against the movement, or like, I don't know, but I think clearly not enough was done. I'd also like to be part of a church that is involved in our society, like here in San Francisco, for example. With the homeless, with the poor, I think I would love to be part of a community that really, really works with the homeless, works with the poor, the orphans, the widows. Like I believe that is what Christ is looking for. Like I think for me, I'm trying to avoid a church where it's just that. It's we're doing church. You go in there, you sing a bunch of songs, you do the worship thing, and you hear the sermon, and that's it. And see you next week, and just repeat. rinse and repeat. It just feels like I'm just doing church, and it just feels like a checklist. Okay, I've done my church thingy. I went to church and I worshiped God. But if you read the book of Amos, in the book of Amos, Amos prophesying about how God really did not like the worship of the Israelites, because it was hypocritical. Excuse me. They're singing these songs, and God is talking about how He detests the singing of the songs, because they're being hypocrites. And I can't imagine God just being okay with us coming to church, worship, and that's it, and we leave, and we have no impact in our communities, our society. I think the church is the forerunner, the forefront, is at the front of making a difference in our communities. I believe that society needs to look to us for love, for care, for a model of an example of how a community should thrive. And if you read the book of Acts in terms of, I know I'm just throwing out, random scriptures out here and there, but I'll just be from the heart. You look at the church in the book of Acts in terms of how they split the wealth, how they sold properties, and how everyone in the church, none of them were in need, because wealth was divided. And I'm not saying at all, I can't assume that they were perfect, not at all, but I think they had the priority straight in terms of just making sure that everyone is well fed. I think the other day that I went on Instagram and I saw this influencer talking about how he said something about how broke Christians don't just preach against Christians with money. Something, I'm just paraphrasing, and I remember hearing that, and it just broke my heart that this person who claims to be a Christian just called another Christian broke. When John says that, if you have a brother without needs and just not do anything about their needs, just wish them well, how can the love of God with you? Let us love with actions, not just words. And that, I feel as if maybe it's a lot to ask. I don't know if I'm being reasonable or unreasonable, but I think we are fully capable in the church, as a church, to make sure that all our basic needs are fed together. And on top of that, to take care of our community. I think as a church, I'm under the impression, as a church, looking at the demographic of the people that go to church. We have doctors, we have scientists, we have all these different people. I think if we all come together, I honestly believe that we as a church can take care of ourselves, firstly, and we can have a positive impact on our communities and our societies. I think so, especially through giving. I'm not trying to segue into a prosperity gospel where the money just apparently just has to buy the pastor a jet. I think with all those resources, I think a lot can be done for the church. When I say the church, I'm talking about the building. I'm talking about the people. I don't think that we should have widows that are not cared for, are catered for, orphans, the basic biblical things. I don't believe that we should go to church with people who are barely making ends meet. I don't think we should do that. I don't think, especially if we have people that can, lend a hand. The economy is hard. It's hard, and I think it is our responsibility, as in scripture, to take care of each other. So as I'm looking for a church, I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I'm being unrealistic. I don't know what it is, because I'm still trying to figure out if all of this is realistic. Is it possible that the blueprint in the book of Acts, or is scripture just over exaggerating what a church can possibly be? Am I asking for too much? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that God can find me a church community where the majors are the major. Because I have a history of, in my younger days, I used to go to I would classify that institution a cult. I used to go to a church extremely super mega conservative back home in South Africa, and so extreme to the point of they thought that they were the only ones who were right and everybody was wrong. Everyone but them were wrong, and they didn't believe in the use of musical instruments. Like using musical instruments during service was a sin. So things like that were the majors. Like, and it makes you think: how can the creator of the universe be concerned about you using musical instruments during worship? How can the creator of the universe be concerned about whether you dressed in a suit or not? I think that was an extreme end of, majoring on the minors, where I think what a Holy Spirit led church majors in is loving itself as the community and having a positive impact in the surrounding community, and just loving people. And I think like, it'll be great if communities in a society look towards the church and think, wow, we want to be like those people. But I'm afraid I live in a society where, and I think I've spoken about this before, where people look at the church and they think, oh my goodness, I'm glad I'm not a part of that. Or sometimes it may be embarrassing to even say that you're a Christian because, not because you're ashamed of Christ, but you're ashamed of what that term comes with because of how other people have misrepresented it. So I don't know where you are, you listening to me, or in terms of your walk with Christ in the church that you're in, and I hope that you're in the church that, that majors in the major. However, I'm not. I'm still looking. I'm still looking. I'm hoping to find a church that can look at my heart and the passion that I have for the gospel and the people of God. And just in general, God's people, everyone on this planet, wherever possible. Because the gospel is meant for people. All of this was meant for us. Christ gave his life for all of us. So I don't know what the exact model of the church is, and I hope I'm not realistic. And I hope that you, if you're not on a similar journey as me, I hope you find a great church. And I hope you cherish it. And I pray that you participate in making your community better. I hope you participate in ensuring that your church, your brothers and sisters, are well taken care of and their needs are met. I pray that you're a part of that which makes the church what it's supposed to be.